And owners of Airbnbs and other short-term rentals in St. Augustine will have to abide now by tighter rules. Tonight, city commissioners voted to pass 3 new ordinances that include requiring a minimum number of days per stay, safety features, and registration rules. However, there is a bill in Tallahassee that could prevent Florida cities from actually enforcing these local laws. It's one of several pieces of legislation on the table that, if passed, would basically tell Florida cities that they can't make local laws like regulating short-term rentals, banning plastic bags and styrofoam containers, or banning sunscreens that can be detrimental to coral reefs. St. Augustine city manager spoke before a House committee last week, arguing that the state doesn't need to get involved.
Because every municipality is different and no one size fits all. What we might need and what might be desired by our populations in terms of regulations might not be the same as Orlando or Tampa or Miami.